Hey, it's Muck You, the American Muckrakers podcast where we sling mud at the high and mighty. I'm David Wheeler, the clown who kicked off this circus, joined by my co-founder and co-host, Colonel Moe Davis, a guy so tough he penned Sovereign Oak, a book you can snag on Amazon.com if you're into good writing. We're normally here to roast phonies and rake the muck. But today we have a very special musical guest live from Nashville for her introduction. Take it away, Mo.
Well, thanks, and good to be back with you. And as David said, we do have a special guest today and kind of a little different turn for us. You may not recognize the name Jill Andrews, but you probably recognize her voice. She's originally from Normal, Illinois, moved to Johnson City, Tennessee. I suppose she and I should not get along. She went to East Tennessee State University, and I went to Appalachian State, which were bitter rivals. And then ended up in Nashville, where she and her husband, Jared, who is also an Air Force veteran and still in the Air National Guard, and their two kids live. One thing like I said, I don't know that I recognized the name when it first popped up, but the voice certainly did, because, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, I'm a devoted follower of Grey's Anatomy, all 21 seasons. And Jill's music has been featured a couple of times. In fact, if you remember season 16, the final episode, the one where Owen finds out that his fiance has been cheating on him and she's got her wedding dress on, that was the season finale. And one of Jill's songs is featured in that episode. And also in This Is Us, which is another one of my favorites, was on NBC. She's played with the Avett Brothers, who are one of my favorite groups. And in fact, Seth Avett is on one of her songs. And she has a new EP out called Big Feelings. So Jill Andrews, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, listen, I got to start off with, I was watching some of your videos over the weekend. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like your guitar of choice is a Gibson J45. And I know that in that,
close.
well, I thought in Nashville, the acoustic guitar, you're required to have a Martin. So are you a heretic or what's going on there?
Well, there's also Gibson has a factory here. So I've been playing a Gibson for quite a while, and it's a Gibson LG1. It's a 1951.
Wow.
And I love it so much. It's my little baby.
Well, you've got me beat. I have a 1970 Gibson Les Paul is the oldest one in my collection.
That's awesome.
Well, how about telling you started out in Normal, Illinois, and then to Johnson City, to Knoxville, and to Nashville. So how did you get from Normal, Illinois to Nashville?
Yeah, so my dad was always in university administration. He worked at Illinois State University, which is in Bloomington Normal, and he was in technology, like dean of technology and things like that there. And so he got a job at East Tennessee State doing more technology stuff there, and quickly became like vice president of administrative stuff and student affairs. It's kind of hard for me to remember all these facts because I haven't talked about it in so long. But yeah, so that's why we moved from Illinois to Tennessee, and Tennessee is really where I claim my home to be, because I think I was 7 when we moved from Illinois. It was a nice life there. I remember it being really flat, and we lived across from a golf course. And that's really all I remember. So, but East Tennessee was great. You know, I was surrounded by the mountains, and I had a lot of really great friends there. And then as far as moving to Knoxville, I started a band with some friends of mine in Johnson City called the Everybody Fields. It was like an alt country sort of band. Around the same time as Whiskey Town, and that was one of our biggest influences, that band. Are you guys familiar with that band?
Yeah, I am. I'm not sure about David.
Yep. Yeah, they're North Carolina band. But yeah, we did a lot of touring and stuff, and then a few of the band members moved to Knoxville. So I was the lone one still in Johnson City, so I decided to move to Knoxville as well, to a bigger city, and see what was going on there. Um, and then Knoxville, we we stayed together as a band for quite a while, um, and we made 3 albums together, released all 3 of those, and we were in the middle of making the 4th album when I decided to quit. So uh, the recording process wasn't really going well. The whole creative atmosphere was kind of flatlining, I think, for everybody. And I also was pregnant with my son Nico, who is now 15. So I wasn't really I wasn't really wanting to be in a van at 2:30 in the morning in a parking lot outside of a bar anymore. Just very much what we did. We played a lot of shows, and I don't know, there was a lot of partying happening.
Well, going solo can have some big rewards. One of my favorite bands was Drive By Truckers, and then Jason Isbell,
Yeah.
split off and seems to have done pretty well for himself since he went solo.
No joke.
Yeah.
No joke. Yeah, he's doing great. But yeah, so
Also,
I went solo in 2009, and I've been just, writing music and releasing it ever since.
well, what? My big connection to Johnson City, when I was at Appalachian State back before you were born, it was a dry county where Appalachian State was located. So we would go to Johnson City. You could donate blood there. You got $25 a pint, and then you could go to the package store and get beer for the drive home. So I have fond memories of those trips over to Johnson City.
Two birds kind of scenario.
Yeah, it was a win-win all around. So I can't complain.
That's
well,
great.
how about?
I wonder if it's healthy to drink beer after you've donated blood.
Well, you've got less blood, so it actually takes less alcohol to get the same effect. So it really was a win-win-win in that regard.
Nice, that's great.
Now, we mentioned your husband Jared is an Air Force guy, which for me is always great to have an Air Force connection. How did you two meet? How did an Air Force guy and a musician make the connection?
Yeah, it's kind of a wild story. I mean, we would have never ever met. I'm very much in a just my whole social life it's all musicians pretty much here in Nashville. I don't know if you guys have heard of those dating apps or not, but I had just joined Bumble, and I guess he'd been on for like a month or so, and one of my friends was like, "You should just try this out," and I was like, "Okay, I guess I will." So she kind of pushed me into it. So I think I'd been on there for like 2 weeks, and I saw this really cute guy pop up, and he just looked so, I don't know, he just looked so healthy. Like, he looked athletic and healthy, and his profile, he just seemed really sweet. So I clicked on it or swiped on it or whatever, and come to find out, he was driving from San Antonio actually, he was driving back from San Antonio, sorry, let me calm down. He was driving back from Clarksville, which is where he's from, to San Antonio, Texas, which is where he was living, because he was working there at the base, at Randolph. And so it was really kismet that we connected, because it was while he stopped at there's trying to think of the name of it. There's a distillery in town that he stopped at to grab a few bottles of whiskey, and matched with me there. So yeah, it was a wild match.
Yeah, I've read an interview you did a while back where you talked about one of your songs and how it connected up with meeting Jared.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool because we are really different in a lot of ways, and our daily lives look really different. I mean, he's working all kinds of shifts. He's doing shift work, so he switches from day shift 1 month to mid shift to swing shift, that kind of thing. And so he's doing that, and I'm just like a free spirit over here. I'm self-employed, so I make my own schedule, and I'm writing one day, and I'm going to yoga, and I'm I'm just doing all the things that I do, trying to keep my own career going. And it's fun to have somebody with a very different lifestyle and ways about him to come in and meet me in the middle.
Well, listen, your new EP is called Big Feelings, and for folks that haven't listened to Jill, I'd encourage you to do it. I've got this vision. If I die and go to heaven, and I know for a lot of you, you're saying that's very unlikely, but bear with me. If I do, I think the angels, their voices are going to sound just like Jill Andrews. So you got to go out and listen to her music. It's just beautiful. And I was listening, some of the words in your songs I think are really particularly relevant today. In Big Feelings, you talk about, I've got big feelings and sometimes I don't know what to do. I think that describes a lot of us right now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's a lot of anxiety happening. And it's, you don't really know where to put all that energy sometimes.
And so what are you doing to deal with it? I know particularly with two fairly young kids and, looking down the road, it has to cause you some concern. So how are you dealing with it?
A lot of exercise. That's kind of my way of dealing with everything. I didn't know that it helped me so much until recently, and I don't know. I started getting into hot yoga. I don't know if are you guys familiar with what that is?
I've never done. I'm holding out for goat yoga.
Mo.
I'd love to try goat yoga.
Yeah, we had hot yoga when I was a kid. It was called walking beans in Iowa. So.
Nice. Yeah, it's been really helpful for me. Basically, they just turn the heat up and you just sweat your ass off while you're doing yoga, and it's kind of like being in a sauna and doing yoga at the same time. So it's also kind of like giving blood and being able to buy beer. Mission accomplished. Yeah, but I think just being able to be in a room with other people and just focus on your breath and being able to kind of get into a meditative headspace. It's not something I'm very I haven't done a lot of that in my life. I've been kind of a runner here and there and done a lot of exercising in different ways, but kind of really trying to be present and focus on my breath is a very new thing for me, and it's also a very challenging thing.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear on that front. I've got three kids myself, one of which is the same name as your son, which is so funny.
Right.
Nico,
Right.
our two Nikos.
Yeah.
So my meeting you is a really interesting story too, Jill. I'm delighted to have become friends with you and exposed to your music. Just like Mo said, it kind of came at a point in my life where I needed something new and something uplifting, but still melodic and beautiful. And ironically, Mo has a house in Beach Mountain.
Oh.
And we met in the chalet there. You'd come down off the slopes with your daughter, who was charming and probably going to be president of the United States someday. And man, she was funny. Oh my gosh, she's so smart. And the tables were full, and I was having a beer, and you were having a beer with your daughter, and we sat down and struck up a terrific conversation. And then Jared joined us and wondered who is this knucklehead sitting here with my beautiful artist wife. And but just a terrific family, and it really touched me that you took some time to sit down, even though I didn't realize you were an artist until we got in the conversation. But I have spent a lot of time with your music over the last couple of months after meeting you, and just like Mo said, I think there's something angelic about your voice that is also very mesmerizing too. I mean, it kind of takes you out of your current space, especially if you're having a shitty day or you just watched the news or watched Elon on Twitter or something. So you've been a vacation for me in parts of my headspace, and I want to thank you for that. And this new album is just terrific. You must be so proud of it. I mean, it's really it's at a crescendo point for your career, I think.
Yeah, first of all, I really appreciate all of that, and it was it was an interesting and strange meeting with you. Like, not strange in a weird way, but just strange in a
You
I
wouldn't be the
told
first woman to say that. So
I told Jared after we left, I was like, there was something about that meeting David that I feel like we should have met him today. Like, there was something there. I was like, I feel like that was meant to be. And I don't feel like that very much. So just so you know, I felt it too. And then when you reached out later, I was like, oh, there he is. It's really, really cool. I felt like, I don't know, just felt akin to you
I
in
appreciate that,
some way.
Jill.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, do you have some time to play a couple or a song for us or two?
Yeah,
Um,
I
I
do.
know, folks, we've been hyping it, and we're putting you on the spot. You're going to do a little uh, solo song here, so whenever you're ready, fire away. And
And what's the backstory on this song?
yeah,
Yeah, so um, I think the first song I'll play is it's called Low, and this is probably I've written some sad songs for sure in my life. This is definitely this is one of the saddest ones, and I think the day that I wrote it, I was just really feeling the heaviness of everything that's going on in our country, and I think the heaviness, especially as a parent, because I have two kids, and I'm just, I'm endlessly worrying about them, and I, I think that's kind of the role of a parent in some ways, but I think it's been amplified so much with technology and AI, and just it's like there's and the politics, um, our leadership, our current leadership, um, just all the madness and inhumanity that's been happening. Um, it's very it's very heavy, and when you have kids and they're seeing it too, it's just um, it's like this isn't how it's supposed to be. People aren't supposed to be treating each other this way. And I hate that they're seeing it. So this song is inspired by all that. It's called Low. Pull the shades down, baby. I don't wanna see the sun. Pull the blanket, honey. Hide it all from everyone. I need the silence. I need a quiet day. I need the feelings I feel to go away. Pull the shades down, baby. I don't wanna see the sun. Lately I've been feeling low.
Well, that was great. And listen, I'm really glad you bumped into David up at Beach Mountain. Often when David bumps into women, there's usually litigation involved afterwards. So it's
and sometimes the law enforcement.
so yeah, the fact there's no injunction yet, I think, is very encouraging.
Well, ironically, I'm heading off to Nashville to see a really, really close friend of mine, and Jill and her husband, hopefully Jared, will be free, and my friend David Wilhelm and I are going to get together and have a beer in Nashville. So there's still hope.
I've got protection though.
Okay, good. Exactly.
My Air Force guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
Hey, Jill, I know for a lot of musicians, some of them are dipping their toe in the water on politics, and then there's blowback on both sides. I mean, there's some artists that I used to like a lot that I don't listen to now because of their political views, and I know there are folks on the other side of the spectrum that do the same thing. So how do you walk that tightrope?
I've been trying to figure that out. I think it's really tricky. I mean, it's such a divisive environment. And I think there's a whole lot of fear involved, and for everyone. I know there is for me. And I think that's the point. I think there's a lot of fear and intimidation happening to make us be silent, to make us shut up. And it's heard loud and clear, So yeah, I've been trying to figure out where my role is in all of it. But I think the most important thing is, people will always comment and say, just shut up and play music, especially to women, I've noticed. But just, I anticipate things like that a lot anytime I say anything. And I think for me, it's important for me to remember that I'm an American citizen, and I care a lot about my country, and I care a lot about the people that live here, especially. And I, like anybody else, whether I'm a musician, whether I have a platform of 10,000 people on Instagram or 100,000 on Instagram, have the right to say, hey guys, I don't like what's going on here. So yeah, but it is tricky. It's really, really tricky. And I haven't done a whole lot of speaking out, but here we go.
Well, I noticed I'm still on Twitter, which has become a real cesspool. And it's not just women, because I get a lot of comments on there suggesting I do things that I wasn't limber enough to do when I was young. But I noticed
and I've seen those pictures too. So,
but I noticed it seems like you've kind of backed off of Twitter. You're still see quite a bit on Instagram and some on Facebook, but has it just gotten too toxic over there?
I think I was fading off of Twitter before Elon's takeover. So I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in it. So it's been a very natural kind of moving away process for me. But I hear that it's pretty bad over there.
Well, the one good thing Elon did, I was an early investor in Twitter, and the stock was in the tank. But when he came along and bought it out, I actually got my head back above water. So I do have to thank him for that.
How's it doing now?
Well, yeah. Well, it's merged now with what did he merge? Was it SpaceX? He merged it with some other.
No, with Grok, his AI company, which is all private. So.
Yeah, so it kind of buries you can't really tell the financials like you could when it was a standalone. So I don't know how it's doing.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Hey, your song "Old Scars." I saw, again, looking at an interview you did. You explained the backstory on how that song came about. Could you talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to, and I'd love to love to play that as well.
Great.
Yeah, so let's see. Old Scars. Let's see. I wrote that. I wrote it about a year ago, probably. I was celebrating the release. Well, I guess it was in October of 2024. I was celebrating the release of my new album, which at that time was Modern Age, and I was at a venue, and there was a man there that was sweeping and like moving like taking the garbage out and stuff like that, and he was really smiley, and we started talking. I'm very attracted to smiley people, just friendly people, and we started talking, and he was asking me about my music because he knew that I was there to play, and I was, kind of giving him the rundown and telling him my history and stuff, and he was like, yeah, I moved to Nashville to be a musician as well, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, how's it going? And he was like, it didn't work out for me, and like so many people, so many musicians, it doesn't work out, because it's a lot of work. There's a lot of luck involved. There's, getting to know the people that the movers and shakers and things like that. And so I was feeling for him in that moment. And then later on that evening, he was still there, and he was, as he was cleaning, he was humming, and I could hear how beautiful his voice was, and it made me really happy. And but later on that night, one of my friends that had hired him to clean told me that he was homeless, and I didn't know, and so I wrote this next song inspired by him. And also just, a lot of it is, I will say, a lot of it is fictional because I don't really know his story. So I kind of imagined what it could be. And I also just wanted to write something kind of about just trauma, like childhood trauma and things, and how that can really affect someone for their whole life. So this song is called Old Scars. Old man rides a bus downtown every night when the sun goes down. He's looking for pleasure in all this pain. Head is pounding like a hurricane. Some people got it easy, some people got it hard. Some people bury wounds under old scars. His mother comes to him in dreams, tender voice in the middle of the city. But he lost her love so long ago. He lost his way down a lonely road. Some people got it easy, some people got it hard. Some people bury wounds under old scars. You'll only ever see what he wants you to see. He gets real tired, he goes to sleep on a park bench on a busy street. When he wakes up in the morning air, his old friend Pain is waiting there. Some people got it easy, some people got it hard. Some people bury wounds under old scars. Some hurt is just too deep. a bus downtown every night when the sun goes down.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, it reminds me, again, I'm a big fan of Jason Isbell. And I don't know if you're familiar with his song, Last of My Kind. But
No, I
he's got
haven't heard of that.
there's a verse in there where he talks about old men sleeping on the filthy ground. They spend their whole day just walking around. Nobody here else seems to care. They walk right past them like they ain't even there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, it says a lot about you that this guy who was a janitor was seen. I mean, most people just, you would think in an event like that, there were other people there that were probably more important, but you saw the guy that didn't have a place to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about him. I don't know. He like I said, he had the biggest smile.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen him around town recently, and I think he's doing pretty well. I think he has like a full-time job now.
I agree.
Yeah.
We have to get you back up to Beach Mountain. Jason Isbell's playing there this summer, so I'm pretty excited about that. But
Oh, that's awesome.
we need,
Yeah.
yeah, so we need Jill Andrews to yeah, some of my favorite Steep Canyon Rangers, are from
Yep.
here, and
Hmm.
they played up there last summer,
Oh,
and we
cool.
got Jason Isbell coming this summer, so yeah, it's something to
Yeah.
look forward to.
Yeah, tell the powers that be that you want me up there.
All right.
And I'll be there. I love Beach Mountain.
Yeah, it is a special place. I grew up around here and then joined the Air Force and saw the rest of the world, and it really made me appreciate, Western North Carolina and the Blue Ridge Mountains. There's just no other place like it.
Yeah, I grew up going there a lot because I lived in Johnson City, and so we skied in Beach Mountain, and I played numerous shows in Boone and in Asheville and just all over North Carolina.
So, has that gentleman ever heard the song? I assume he has.
No.
He
No,
does.
I
He
haven't played
hasn't.
it for him. No,
Oh, well,
just
we gotta.
because, well, just because I don't know if he would like it or not. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. That's
so
interesting.
yeah, I didn't want to cross the boundary there. I'm inspired by certain things, and um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he would like it.
Huh.
Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't, but I don't know. It'll be a mystery.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe he has heard it. Who knows? Who knows? So, what's your favorite place to play in the States or abroad? I mean, I know you've been in uh, outside of the country a couple times. Where was your favorite concert that you remember?
Mm. Um, well, one of my favorites was I opened for the Avett Brothers at Red Rocks a few years ago. It was in July and it was hot as hell. And I don't know why, but I wore a turtleneck. And I just remember my guitar was like melting into my arms. The finish was coming off of my guitar. It was so hot and the sun was just beaming right on it. So, um, but just to be on a stage that magnificent in that scene, it's such a
Yeah,
beautiful place, and playing for their fans, they're always great fans, and those dudes are awesome. So
yeah.
that was a amazing experience for me. I mean, I I just let's see, last fall or this past fall, I went on a UK tour, and I brought my parents with me. Um, just because they had never really been over there. My mom had never been over there at all. My dad had been to London once, but so we rented a car, and I was driving us all over the place on the wrong side of the road, and I was so nervous about the whole thing, but because I didn't want to kill my parents, driving on the wrong side of the road. But I'd had a little experience, and yeah, I would say that tour in general was so fun just to spend that kind of time with my parents. It was like I was living back at home with them again in a way. My kids weren't there, my husband wasn't there, and it was just me and them, and it was a really sweet time.
And did you get to play it all in the UK or?
Yeah. I think I played 8 shows while I was over
Oh,
there. I played in uh, all over England and Wales and Scotland and Ireland, actually. Yeah, so all over the place.
wow. And I assume you had a really good response and great
Hmm.
experiences.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, the people over there are just lovely for sure.
Yeah.
And
And
so
the, yeah, go ahead.
one of the places you played was Glasgow, and there's an event here in Nashville called the Leaf Festival where they
Mm.
bring in bands, and there's a band from Glasgow called We Banjos Three that I'd never heard of.
Oh, that's cool. I've
That
never heard
just
of
blew me away. Uh, you know, it's obviously three guys, and one of them plays a banjo, but
them.
they were really good, and they were all from the Glasgow area, which is a beautiful place.
It is. Yeah, it's you really have to pay close attention to what people are saying when you're there because it's really hard to understand the dialect.
Yeah.
It's just wild, how different how close together the countries are over there, but how they retain their differences in
Hmm.
dialect. It's so wild to me.
Did you write anything while you're there or
No, I didn't.
no?
I mean, oftentimes when I'm touring, it's like
Too
just
hectic. Yeah.
yeah, it's just I'm driving all day, I'm playing all night, I'm sleeping barely and driving again the next day, so
Yeah.
not much time. But I do take the inspiration with me back home, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hmm.
Well, we're talking today with Jill Andrews from Nashville, and you can learn more about Jill at jillandrews.com. Pretty simple. And, we get into politics a little bit here, Jill, and we're going to try and stay away from that in interest of your career. But I mean, are there people in Tennessee or in the United States that, have influenced you or politically involved these days that you look up to or you get inspiration from?
Um, that's kind of a hard question. Well, there's Justin Jones,
Yep.
Representative Justin Jones. I think he's very brave. Um, just to go against the grain as he has done. And that's hard. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine disrupting in the way that he did. Um, but I find that to be very, very brave. Um, let's see. What else? I mean, there's organizations after the Covenant school shooting here in Nashville. Um, there's folks that are trying to make real change, with the gun violence that happens here in our country and in our state. And so my dad and I have taken part in some of that kind of stuff. We were part of Mom's Demand Action, which was really funny. I was like, Dad, do you want to come to this with me? He was like, sure, I don't care. So we went to it together. He's not a mom, but there were a lot of non-moms there. Um, so yeah, I think I do think it's important to, just to stay knowledgeable about what's going on in the country and what's going on in your state, and try to do what you can as an individual.
Well, you mentioned Mom's Demand Action. We had David Hogg was on last week, a week before last with us, and we're trying to get Shannon Watts, who's the founder,
Mm-hmm.
who's a lady I've got a lot of respect for because I know she's taken a lot of verbal abuse for, being a very vocal advocate on gun regulation, but she has persevered and
Yeah.
is really doing good work.
Yeah, for sure. I listened to the David Hogg episode. That was really, really cool that you guys had him on. I look up to him a lot as well.
I'm just curious, who do you listen to when you need some tunes to kind of escape to? Who do you put on?
Yeah, let's see. I've been listening to Fantagram a lot. Have you guys heard of them? They're more like pop,
Right.
pop kind of stuff. I listened to one of my very, very, very favorite albums of all time is The Killers, and the album is called, what is it called? It's called Pressure Machine. Have you guys ever heard that?
Yes.
Yep.
That is one of the most, I don't know, every time I listen to it, I just cry and cry and cry. It's just so good. That album has inspired me a lot.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about you?
hey, how'd you end up connecting? You've had at least 2 songs on Grey's Anatomy. How did that work out?
Yeah, so I work with companies here. I've had a variety of different companies, but they pitch my songs to film and TV. There's always, they're always looking for songs for certain scenes, and they'll send out a request. The show will send out a request like, here's this scene, Deborah and Pat are sitting in the living room and talking, and they'll kind of lay out the whole scene, and they'll say, we need a pop song, or we need a woman empowerment song, or whatever. And so a lot of the songs that I've written have just worked for scenes, it just kind of fit right in. And then I've specifically written some songs for scenes. Like I read the brief and then I wrote a song based on the brief. So yeah, that's always really, really fun to hear your music used in shows.
Yeah. Particularly Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Probably catch a lot of grief for admitting I'm addicted to Grey's Anatomy, but I've been watching it for 21 seasons. But part of
addicted is a strong word.
and it's renewed for a 22nd season. So it's got some.
So pumped.
Yes, it's got some staying power. But one of the things I've always liked about it, they have the best music on there.
They do.
I mean, a lot of times when I just want something to listen to, I'll plug in Grey's Anatomy, and the music from that show is just spectacular.
Yeah, it is, and it's always been that way. They purposefully have really sought out some good music, and so it's awesome for somebody like me to find their music on there, because I think I'm in really good. I'm in good company.
It's good stuff. Well, Jill, it's been a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really sweet of you to do this and play your beautiful music for our people or our listeners and my colleague Mo and myself.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate having you today. Whoops. Oh my God. There it goes.
the timer.
That's my timer. Sorry, Jill. You just about got played off. I think we'll leave that in, but that's a wrap for Muck You, where the mud flies and the phonies fry. I'm David Wheeler, the ringmaster of the Muck Fest, alongside my good friend Colonel Moe Davis, who's tougher than a sovereign oak and twice as rooted. Grab Moe's book on Amazon if you've got the taste. Again, it's Sovereign Oak on Amazon.com. We've taken a reprieve from politics this week to bring you singer and songwriter Jill Andrews. Beautiful, gorgeous music, and had a lovely conversation with her. Please learn more about Jill at jillandrews.com. We'll catch you next time when we rake it up again. Until then, muck you.
This has been Muck You, co-hosted by Colonel Moe Davis in Asheville, North Carolina, and David Wheeler in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. Thanks to our special guest today, Jill Andrews, an award-winning singer-songwriter who came to us live from Nashville. The intro and outro music on our episode today is courtesy of Jill Andrews, and you can listen to the full songs on her newly released album titled Big Feelings. Learn more about Jill and listen to her amazing original music at jillandrews.com. Muck You is produced by American Muckrakers, copyright 2025. You can learn more and donate at americanmuckrakers.com. Follow us on Blue Sky under american.muckrakers. Again, thank you to Jill Andrews for joining us this week and sharing some of her music.
try to fight it, try not to let it show, but the tears keep coming